One of Putin's disgraced generals, former deputy commander of the joint group of Russian troops in Ukraine, Sergei Surovikin, has been spotted in Algeria. He came there as a part of a delegation of the Russian Defense Ministry, writes the Kommersant newspaper. Surovikin disappeared from the public space after Prigozhin's failed riot. A longtime associate of the head of PMC Wagner, he, at the very least, could have known about the preparation of the mutiny. And after the failed Wagner campaign on Moscow, Surovikin and 12 other high-ranking military officers were detained, writes the Wall Street Journal. The day before Prigozhin's death, Surovikin was suspended from his post. A couple of weeks later, he was appointed head of the Coordinating Committee for Air Defense under the CIS Council of Defense Ministers.
Most dictators use some type of violent coercion to stay in power. They may intimidate the opposition, the population, and even their associates to stay in office. But this means that the people the dictator gives the power to intimidate can in turn become a threat to himself. Austin Matthews, assistant professor at East Carolina University, in an interview with Medusa.
The Wall Street Journal has estimated that since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the Kremlin has suspended at least 12 high-ranking military commanders. Among them is Ivan Popov, commander of the 58th Army. He said that he was dismissed after he reported to his superiors about the difficult situation in the Zaporizhia region. Popov had repeatedly criticized the Federation's defense ministry. After his resignation, Popov was sent to Syria. Generals Serdyukov, and Kisiel also went there. Analysts at the American Institute for the Study of War are convinced that this is the Kremlin's way of getting rid of disloyal commanders.
The Russian armed forces demonstrated that they are in many ways a reflection of the Russian state, kleptocratic, incompetent, and built on a sort of Potemkin village, with a front which hides all sorts of rubbish behind it. Richard Shirev, Deputy Supreme Allied Commander Europe from 2011 to 2014, in an interview with Liga.net.
Putin also fired Deputy Defense Minister Mikhail Mezintsev, who is known as the Butcher of Mariupol, because of the barbaric bombardment of Ukrainian city. The commander of the 155th Brigade, General Rustam Muradov, who failed in the operation to storm Vuhledar, also lost his position. Due to constant failures on the front, Putin has suspended Valery Gerasimov, chief of the General Staff of the Russian Army, from the management of military operations, the Daily Mail reports. Formally, he remains the chief of the General Staff. Moreover, he is even shown allegedly expecting frontline positions, but he no longer has real power, experts say.
He failed in the transformation of the Russian military over the last decade. Clearly, that modernization has not worked. He failed in the initial planning and advice to President Putin for the 2022 invasion. He failed in the initial mobilization efforts in September 2022. It was a disaster. He failed in the 2023 offense that he conducted, and he's failed in managing the relationships with his key generals or private military companies. He has allowed his troops to commit the most appalling atrocities against the Ukrainian people. Mick Ryan, military expert, in an interview with Liga.net.
Only Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu remains unchanged. Analysts explain it this way. Firstly, when Russia is defeated in the war against Ukraine, the Kremlin will need someone to blame for the loss. And secondly, and most importantly, a more talented minister in this position could pose a threat to Putin personally. Reported by Anastasia Tarnavska, Nikita Skoblikov, UATV News.